Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia, and welcome back to another episode of the Greatest Warrior Liu Bu lore series as we continue with part 6, titled Betraying Liu Bei. So last time, we left off as Liu Bu took refuge in the Xu province after losing the battle against Cao Cao for control of the Yan province. Now, at this time, Tao Qian had just passed away of old age, and after gaining the support of key officials like Sun Qian and Mi Zhu, Liu Bei was selected as the new governor. With Cao Cao still a looming threat, Liu Bei decided to accept Lu Bu and gave him a small city to rest and recover his forces. But before Cao Cao would strike again, Yuan Shu, who occupied the Yang province to the south, saw Tao Qian's death as a sign of weakness, as he would invade the Xu province in early 196 from the Guangling region. In response, Liu Bei immediately set off with Guan Yu to halt Yuan Shu's advances, and as these two sides fought to a standstill, Yuan Shu started to look for other means to win this war, as he would end up writing a letter to Lu Bu, promising him 200,000 hu of rice if he backstabs Liu Bei and help him take the Xu province. Now, hu is another term for dan, which is a volumetric measurement equal to roughly 60 kilograms. So Yuan Shu essentially promised Lu Bu 12,000 metric tons of rice for this betrayal. Without saying, this is a huge bounty, and one that Lu Bu desperately needed, as food is essentially currency when it came to recruiting and maintaining armies. So without much hesitation, Lu Bu agreed, as he marched his force directly at Liu Bei's capital of Xiapi, which was being defended by Zhang Fei at this time. Now, while Liu Bei was chosen to be the next governor of the Xu province by a few of the prominent former officials of Tao Qian, there were plenty of officials and local gentry clans that were displeased with Liu Bei's appointment, as he was an outsider. One such clan was the Cao clan. And just to point out the obvious, this Cao clan has no relations with Cao Cao's clan, they just happen to have the same surname. In particular, Cao Bao, who was a former general Tao Qian, disagreed with Liu Bei's appointment. Now, with Liu Bei out fighting Yuan Shu, he ramped up his displeasure by outright feuding with Zhang Fei, who remained behind in Xiapi. Now, in Romance of Three Kingdoms novel, he was casted as the father-in-law of Lu Bu through a new concubine named Lady Cao, as he would become this link to explain Lu Bu's betrayal against Liu Bei. But historically, he had no relations to Lu Bu, and it just happens that when Lu Bu arrived at Xiapi, due to the tempting offer from Yuan Shu, that Zhang Fei had just killed Cao Bao as their feud got violent. Now, with Cao Bao killed, his lieutenant by the name of Xu Dan ran out of the city with roughly 1,000 Danyang heavy spearmen under his command, and when he bumped into Lu Bu's forces, it was as if he saw a lifesaver, as he quickly explained the situation in the city to Lu Bu. Then, using his rank to order the gates open, Lu Bu's forces, combined with Xu Dan's, quickly overwhelmed the unsuspecting Zhang Fei, who would soon escape the city. But remaining behind are the families of Liu Bei and the rest of his officers and officials' families as well, as Lu Bu would take them prisoner. When the news of this betrayal reached Liu Bei's camp, the morale naturally plummeted, and very soon Yuan Shu's forces exploited this weakness to push Liu Bei's army back. Without a place to really retreat to, and running dangerously low on supplies, Liu Bei pulled his forces to Haixi, where the Mi clan will make a huge investment in Liu Bei by giving him supplies and securing a marriage with him through their sister, Lady Mi. But with Lu Bu still holding the rest of the officers' family as hostages, Liu Bei sent an envoy to Lu Bu, stating that he was willing to surrender to Lu Bu if he can be assured the safety of all their families. Back in Xiapi, Lu Bu was in a state of rage, as after helping Yuan Shu win the war by backstabbing Liu Bei, Yuan Shu went back on his words and is now refusing to give any food to Liu Bu. As to be honest, Yuan Shu simply didn't have that much food to begin with, as the Yang province had been severely mismanaged ever since his arrival there. Regardless, with no bounty coming from Yuan Shu, Liu Bu ended up accepting Liu Bei's surrender, as he would now take over Liu Bei's governor title, while Liu Bei would become the prefect instead, as the two of them essentially swapped places overnight, with Liu Bu now situated in Xiapi, while Liu Bei had to station himself in the small city of Xiaopei, where he had originally placed Liu Bu. And with Liu Bei and Liu Bu reconciled, Yuan Shu once again finds himself unable to take the Xu province. So, in mere days after Liu Bu's takeover of Xiapi, Yuan Shu would try the same trick again, as he would now try to bribe Liu Bu's generals to try to backstab him. So, in the middle of the night in late June of 196, Officer Hao Meng initiated a coup within Liu Bu's army camps, as his forces and others working with him quickly put Xiapi under siege. Confused and fearful for his family's well-being, Liu Bu first moved his family to Gao Shun's camp, and surprised to see Liu Bu, Gao Shun asked what had happened, to which Liu Bu answered that although he was not sure who is leading the coup, but he is certain that the accent is from Henei. And knowing the personnel, Gao Shun immediately came to the realization that it must be Hao Meng, as he was the only officer from Henei. So after Liu Bu's family got settled, Liu Bu and Gao Shun marched out with their forces to put down the coup. Yet after they arrived on scene, Hao Meng's forces was fighting amongst themselves, as one of Hao Meng's officers, named Cao Xing, resisted the idea of the coup against Liu Bu, and was now fighting Hao Meng for control of their army. As these two fought, Cao Xing would receive a jab wound from Hao Meng's spear, but before Hao Meng could pull back his spear, Cao Xing, through the pain of his wound, swung his glaive down and took one of Hao Meng's arm right off. And as Hao Meng fell down in pain, Gao Shun rode in and ended his misery by taking his head clean off. And with Hao Meng dead, the coup was over, as Liu Bu regained control of Xiapi. Still unsure why Hao Meng rebelled against him, Liu Bu interrogated the still injured Cao Xing for information. When asked who was behind the coup, Cao Xing informed Liu Bu that it had been Yuan Shu who had tempted Hao Meng to launch the coup. Then when asked who else was part of the coup, Cao Xing answered Chen Gong, despite the fact that Chen Gong was also present in the room. Now, given this coup ended without causing too much damage, and that Liu Bu owed Chen Gong for his invitation to take over the Yan province, Liu Bu merely verbally reprimanded Chen Gong, and all was forgiven. Cao Xing was rewarded for his action to stop the coup, as he would end up replacing Hao Meng's position and taking command of all of Hao Meng's former troops. And a few months of peace and quiet would pass before Yuan Shu would make another move in October of 196, when he sent General Jiling and an army of 30,000 to attack Liu Bei in Xiaopei. After debating the merits between watching Liu Bei perish or saving Liu Bei, Liu Bu decided to come to Liu Bei's aid, as if Yuan Shu took over Xiaopei, then his next target would surely be Liu Bu. So what happened next is the famed event called Yuanmen Sheji, or shooting the Ji from the Yuan Gate. In short, when Liu Bu arrived to reinforce Liu Bei, with only roughly 1,000 infantry and 200 cavalry, Jiling, fearful of Liu Bu's rumored strength, decided to temporarily halt the attack, and instead made camp southwest of Xiaopei. Liu Bu then sent an invitation to Jiling to come over to his camp for a feast to discuss a possible truce between Yuan Shu and Liu Bei. Worried that this was a trap set to kill him, Jilin countered the invitation by inviting Liu Bu to his camp instead, which Liu Bu confidently accepted. And during this feast, Liu Bu explained that Liu Bei is like his little brother. So if they are here to attack him, then he will definitely come to his aid. But of course, it would be better to settle all of this without bloodshed. So instead of fighting, how about we make a bet? If in one shot, I can hit the small dagger part of a Ji at the Yuan gate with an arrow from here, then you all return back to Yuanshu. If I miss, then I'll step aside and let you and Liu Bei settle it on the battlefield. Jilin, for whatever reason, agreed to this bet, as the distance from their table to the Yuan gate, or the front gate of the encampment, as it was called, was roughly 150 paces. But Liu Bu, who has been noted multiple times in history as an exemplary archer from his experience growing up on the frontiers in the Bin province, easily made this shot. Awestruck by his skill with the bow, Jilin and his fellow officers accepted defeat, and after hosting another feast with Liu Bu the next day, they retreated back to Yuanshu without attacking Liu Bei. Now, in my humble opinion, this was the only historical record of General Jilin, and his status as a special officer for Yuanshu in most modern-day video game depictions is simply a travesty, as he is nothing more than a cowardly witness to Liu Bu's masterful skill with the bow. And the fact that he was not recorded to take part in any of Yuanshu's future campaigns make me believe that he was either executed, sacked, or placed in a doghouse by Yuanshu after such an embarrassing showing here in Xiaopei, where one arrow turned around a 30,000 strong army when the combined forces of Liu Bu and Liu Bei at this point amounted to about 1/10 of their size. But regardless, while Liu Bu would be able to stop Yuanshu for the time being, Yuanshu's ambitions and desire for the Xu province will continue, and we'll return next time to cover Yuanshu's next few attempts at the Xu province and Liu Bu's response and involvement in all of them. So hopefully you all enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!